Hey everybody, what's up? Kevin here once again from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel. And today we're going to be reviewing the 7th album that we've waited 7 years for from this band. This is As I Lay Dying with Shaped by Fire. Okay, so for those of you who do not know how these album reviews work or just plain forgot about it, this is how our album reviews are going to go. First, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background context on the band up to this point, so we're all kind of on the same page from when their previous album was released till now. Then I will go through each song in order from 1 to 12, giving you my thoughts on the meaning of the song, its purpose, the instrumentation, the melody, the vocals, the lyrics, all that stuff. And then I will give the album a rating on the scale of 0 to 10. Think of 0 being, getting a call from a telemarketer, and 10 being getting a call from like Publishers Clearinghouse saying you want $5,000 a day, or a day for life, something like that. And then of course I will always give you the explanation why I gave it that rating. So enough of that, let's get on with the show! Alrighty, so to give you a little preview on As I Lay Dying before we really jump into it, their last album, Awaken, was released back on September 25th, 2012, and it was to a pretty good amount of critical acclaim to the point where Loudwire named them the best metal band of 2012, which beat out bands like Anthrax and Lamb of God and probably Slipknot, because Loudwire, they put Slipknot in everything. But then on May 7th, 2013, lead singer Tim Lambesis ended up getting arrested for plotting to murder his estranged wife through a murder for hire, private detective kind of thing, which really threw the band into whack, and it forced the cancellation of a tour with Killswitch Engage that they were about to go on. Now, Lambesis ended up pleading not guilty originally, with the plea that his lawyer said that it was his mind set and his thoughts were not cognitively there based on his steroid use, but then he ended up changing it to guilty back around 2014, and then was sentenced to 6 years in prison with 48 days already served. Now, for the rest of the band, they ended up starting a different project called Weve, which had been started before the sentencing, probably started right when everything was going on with Tim, and they found out about this, so they could still make music, but they weren't going to make music under the As I Lay Dying name, which of course was very interesting, and the band did what it could to distance itself from As I Lay Dying and Tim Lambesis, so they started this band called Weve. So after serving only a couple years, about almost 3 years in prison, Lambesis was released at the end of 2016. And now at this time, he really began to start reconnecting with all the members of As I Lay Dying. And it did take time between each member. It took from either a couple of months to almost a whole year. And it ended up becoming the part where they announced they were making music again around September 2017 and started actually booking shows. Now, when they were booking shows, a lot of places ended up booking them, but then ended up canceling their shows due to public backlash over what Tim Lambesis did and how the public was perceiving it. However, in 2018, they ended up coming out with My Own Grave, which is the lead single off of Shaped by Fire. And it wasn't even announced that the album was coming out yet, but it was a music video accompanied with it that showed all the members of the band together, so you could get that classic lineup. In April of 2019, they released Redefine, their second single off of the album, which we later found out about when they announced the album was coming out back on August 9th, 2019. But they came out with another single beforehand as well, and they came out with 4 singles before the album was released on September 20th, 2019. So enough with the background. You guys are all caught up on what happened with As I Lay Dying and why that 7-year period was there between their last album and this album. So let's get on to song number 1. So song number 1 on the album is a song called Burn to Emerge, and it's about a 55 second song that ends up serving as an intro into the album, but could actually be served as an intro to the second song on this album, which is Blinded, which was one of the singles, which I will get to later on. After listening to the song, it sounds like it's kind of going to start out really low and try and build into something, but it doesn't necessarily start out low and just build into the next song. It kind of has its own feeling to it as well that really builds into the intro to Blinded, which really works well here because it makes you feel like you're getting ready to jump into a mosh pit. And I'll talk about this when I get to Blinded, because when you combine the two together, right when Blinded starts and Burn to Emerge ends, that's the perfect time for the mosh to start, and I cannot wait to start moshing on this. In the song as well, you also hear Tim say, you know, can we ever escape? So it kind of gives premise to the rest of the album in terms of meaning, talking about what had happened to Tim in the past and how he's trying to overcome it and trying to overcome his demons, asking, can we escape? So overall, I actually really like the idea they put this track on this album to start out with and go into Blinded, and I can't wait to see them live so that they can start with this and then open with Blinded, and the mosh pit is gonna be insane! So coming in at song number 2, we have the 4th single, which dropped a week before this album was released. I already mentioned it earlier. This is Blinded. Now, looking at the song's premise and meaning, it's all about Tim basically asking for forgiveness and telling everyone that he was blinded by his mind and blinded by his rage, possibly his steroid use when it came to everything. And again, asking for forgiveness on that. And clearly, I'll say asking, you know, we've all been to that point, and you can use this song to relate to that as well. Now, they did have a music video for this, which just is a crowd around the band and basically moshing, which of course, what I talked about earlier, this makes total sense. I really want to mosh to the song, so I love the move on that part. I absolutely love how the intro just goes straight metalcore. When you combine Burn to Emerge into it, it fits so well. And then there's a good amount of unclean vocals right away from Tim, which really work well in here to show that they still have that raw metalcore sound, which is really done well here. Now, I do have to highlight the guitar work by Nick Hippa here, because it is absolutely astounding every way you can do it. It drives, it brings the energy, it is unrelenting throughout the whole entire thing. And then when you get to the guitar solo, it has a little bit of a higher pitched tone to it, which is done really well because it mixes so well. Tim's vocals on this one, I gotta say, are absolutely great overall throughout the unclean vocals, and then because they have like deeper tone, but they have like a higher pitch to it, and that clean chorus as well. Ooh! I actually really like it. Overall, this is probably my favorite single off the album, and not that, this is probably my favorite song off the album as well, and like I said earlier, cannot wait to mosh to this one. Alright, so coming in number 3, we have the 3rd single, which was released when the album was announced on August 9th, and is the titular song, so this is Shaped by Fire. I think this song is all about, you know, being shaped by the bad times. So we go through those bad times, and you come through that adversity, and, you know, you're being shaped by that. So you're basically, you know, trial by fire, shaped by fire. And I do like how Tim, again, describes this one and puts it into context with what he went through and how he's grown from it since. Now, I love the pace on this song a lot, mostly because it's not as fast as Blinded was, and it starts out rather slow, but it does still go full-on metalcore smoke show, which I really like. I do, again, have to applaud the guitar work again, because it has this deeper tone with the distortion on it, which works tremendously for this song. I absolutely love it. The unclean vocals from Tim are so much deeper on this one, especially in the verses. It really hits, and I really think it fits that meaning of Shaped by Fire, where you're going through that adversity, and when you get that deeper tone with the unclean vocals, it just hits on another level. Now, the chorus, I think, shines right here because they go with the more clean vocals on it, and it kind of reminded me of like an influence off of No One Like You from the Scorpions, just how it was built and constructed, but it fits so well in the contrast. So overall, I actually really like this song as well. The chorus is something that is truly amazing on this one, how it mixes between the verses and itself. I just thought this was another great song by the band, and I was very happy with it. Coming in number 4, we have the song Undertow, and the meaning is to use that undertow as a metaphor for the bad things constantly pulling you back from trying to reach your goal and attain what you want and try and get past that and better your mind, which again is another commentary on what happened with Tim back in 2013. The song ends up having a much more raw, like, metal feel to it, or I should say metalcore feel to it, than the previous two, Blinded and Shaped by Fire, did. And it doesn't necessarily sound as refined, but I think it was a right move on this one because it kind of changes everything up a little bit, but still keeps that hard metalcore sound. The chorus is created perfectly in contrast because it's clearer and higher than the verses, and it really goes well with the harder instrumentation. Now, the unclean vocals are also well done because Tim gets a little bit deeper again, and it just shows that emotion behind this song, you know, trying to get past the undertow. And I actually really do like what they do here because it's like thrown right at you in the intro. And then Nick Hoppa, again, 3 straight songs continue to amaze with that guitar work. Absolutely happy with it. One thing I will say about this song, though, in the overall was I wasn't the biggest fan of it while listening to the album straight through, but when I isolated it by itself, this was a great standalone track. So again, man, as they lay dying through the first third of the album, you guys are doing great. At song number 5 on the album, we have the song Torn Between. This song is all about having a good side and a bad side, especially in your head, and they're constantly pulling back till you're torn between the two, and you really can't find that happy medium balance between the two. This one, again, has that same rapid metalcore feature as the others have had, but it's a little bit more refined and dull a little bit in comparison to the raw tenacity we saw from our previous entry. And I really like the move because it mixes it up a little bit, gives a little bit more diversity to the album, and keeps it a little bit fresher still as we're going on. Make sure it doesn't get too messed up. The intro and the outro on this one, because it's built into it and then it fades out, which I really do like on this one, because again, it's providing a lot of different tones to it, and it provides a lot of different diversity. The unclean vocals by Tim are much more pronounced on this one, and they're much more heavily featured, which also makes them the focal point of the song, which I thought was the correct move because it exemplifies exactly what Tim had gone through, being torn between that good side of him and the horrible side of him and basically what caused him to do what he did back in 2013. The chorus kind of has a more mellow and beat down feel to it as well, which one thing I'd say about that is, again, I like the mix up on this one because it just shows that great contrast between the craziness that the tearing between good and bad really has, but then when you find that happy medium, just kind of you're tired, you're beat down from, but it totally works. Overall, I really like how this song mixes everything up. It's a great inclusion on this album. It's a pretty good standalone track as well. Here we go. Song number 6, we have the song Gatekeeper. And this song is all about being the gatekeeper to preventing yourself from, really getting past those bad times and letting the person who you really want to be shine through. So kind of letting that mental block take over. Vocally, there is nothing else but, unclean vocals from Tim here. And I really do like the move on this one for one reason. That's because it really shows Tim's emotion, shows Tim's range as the vocalist, and it really keeps it fresh. But what I don't like is I don't really like how it mixes in with the underlying instrumentation, because I think it really kind of just doesn't mix well and takes away from what the instrumentation really is showing here, because that's where this song absolutely shines, because it is a heavier tone, kind of like more heavy metal as well, and it comes out in full force. The guitar and the drum work on this one is absolutely fantastic, where they don't miss a beat. The drums are just absolutely rapid, and they create this paranoia feel, which for this kind of a song and its meaning, I absolutely am enthralled with. The guitar solo is that perfect distortion for contrasting the rest of the song with the heavy metal distortion and kind of go with that higher tone again, which really works. So overall, I'm not the biggest fan of this one in a composition standpoint, mostly because I don't think the vocals and the instrumentation mix, but the instrumentation on this one, especially between the guitar and drums, oh my god, is it insane. At number 7, we have the Wreckage, and this song is all about Tim realizing what he had done and figuring out, how is this actually going to affect my life, which is absolutely huge. And this is very relatable too, because we've all gone through something where something has completely, destroyed what we had done in life up to a point, maybe just, completely changed our lives in that inciting incident, and us finally realizing what had happened there. The instrumentation, this one starts out very low and mellow with a much deeper tone guitar. And you get kind of like some cleaner vocals in there, which kind of just changes it up a little bit. But then once the intro is over, boom, you get back into that heavy metal and metalcore sound. And Nick Hipple with that guitar, are you kidding me? It's got this lower tone to it, which is also fantastic, mixing with a faster pace. It just works with the verses as well, and it kind of slows down the chorus well. It just is great contrasting there. This is a great mixture of vocals too, because you get a much more rapid and raw verse from Tim, but then the clean vocals come in the chorus and this like calmer, destroyed feel to it, which really works well here. And overall, I love this mixture. The one thing it reminded me of is this sounds like something that came off of the Holy Hell album from Architects back in 2018, which actually kind of makes sense that this album is kind of a little bit similar to it. It makes sense to me, at least. At number 8, we have what was the first single on the album that was released back in 2018, which is My Own Grave. There is a music video to this one as well that just has all the guys back jamming again, which shows their old lineup is back and they were ready to go. Now, the song's meaning on this one, it's all about how Tim was festering in hate and his inability to take ownership of what he had done and destroyed, and just, how he completely destroyed the band as a whole, so how he dug his own grave for this one. The intro brings you in slowly and more ominous before just going to this full-on thrash metal metalcore mix, which for a returning song, trying to come back to that metalcore style that you really worked with and really became big for, yeah, Again, this absolutely fits. The tone of the melody instrumentation is, again, darker, more confused, which does make sense for the underlying theme for the song and for the album when you're trying to just, realize that you basically dug your own grave. So it really drives that as well. The verses in this one, again, deeper, unclean vocals, and they mix well with the underlying instrumentation overall as comparison to Gatekeeper, which really works well. The chorus is a beautiful thing, making it, mixing between clean and unclean. Kind of how like most of the choruses on Holy Hell were, but my lord, did this one work out as well. This is a great song for them to come back to, and a great song to basically show, guys, we're back. All right, come in. Song number 9. We have the song Take What's Left. This song is all about the aftermath when your life is falling around. You're trying to basically pick up the salvageable pieces and move forward. This song opens up very calmly, a lot like the Wreckage did, but then goes back in that full-on metalcore sound. But it also, the instrumentation, this one sounded like it had some punk rock influence in there as well, especially in the end of the intro, which I thought, this is something that's really interesting. I like the mix, was a big fan of the move. We still, again, get that classic metalcore vocal construction where we get the unclean verses and the clean chorus and the unclean bridge as well. And when it comes to the unclean vocals in the verses, specifically the verses, I wasn't a fan as well because it, again, did not really mesh well with the underlying instrumentation. The pre-chorus, however, when they slow down how fast the vocals are coming, that's something that really works well with the unclean vocals from Tim. And I'm going to say it again because I can't say it enough. Nick Hippa on the guitar, my God, he killed it on this one once again. It just works so well. Overall, again, getting pretty nitpicky a little bit when I'm kind of talking about how the unclean vocals in the verses are not mixing well with the instrumentation, but that's just one thing I'm really hearing. Otherwise, this song is actually pretty decent. Okay, coming at number 10, we have what was the second single released in April 2019. This is Redefine, which is featuring Jake Lurs of August Burns Red, which is actually, pretty awesome. The song's all about Tim realizing his past mistakes and the pain that it caused him, and most importantly, the people around him as well, and how he must accept that and move on and basically rectify that and redefine who he is. Instrumentally, the melody is much faster paced metalcore than we had seen, and it has it all written all over it, where the 4 members that aren't Tim are working in absolute perfect harmony when it comes to creating that. I love the inclusion of Jake on this track because it gives those unclean vocals a deeper sound to it than Tim could even do, and it really does work, again, giving a little bit more of a diverse metalcore feel specifically to this album. Josh Gilbert's clean vocals in the chorus are, again, absolutely amazing. They work really well here. However, if I had to pick this one apart for a flaw, it is the chorus, because there are some unclean vocals shown in there from Tim and Jake as well, and I just wish John's vocals were isolated on the chorus. It would have made it absolutely great. This is probably my least favorite single, and this is really saying something about the other singles because I actually like this track, but the other 3 singles just killing it. At song number 11, we have the song Only After We Fall, and this song is all about making the changes in your life after you've fallen down, after you've gone through that horrible time, and you're trying to make yourself and become a better person. This is another song where the instrumentation is full-on metalcore, but it's really crisp. Where I said Undertow was a lot more raw, this song is very crisp metalcore, and it is done very well with that rapid pace. And there's kind of sounds like, at times it gets really rapid. Sounds like a little bit of a Dragon Force influence. Did I just say that? Of course I did. The guitar is the absolute standout on this track, and I gotta keep applauding Nick for this, and I can't say enough because it's the driver of the whole entire song, and it is just crisp throughout the whole entire thing, and it is perfect. The drums also complement it with how consistently rapid they are. It really does work here. It's a refreshing change as paces, the unclean vocals and the clean vocals. They kind of alternate paces where the clean vocals in the chorus are a lot slower, but the pace of the verses with the unclean vocals are just rapid as hell, and wow, is it done well. So overall, this song is absolutely great when it comes to the mixture of everything, but Nick Hippa and his guitar are really shining through on it. Alrighty, number 12, last song on the list, we have The Toll It Takes. The song means to show regret and how it still can weigh on you and how you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to rectify that. The song does start out slow with a kind of slow build once again, which really kind of works on this song for the last track, because I thought, you know what? I'm going to be possibly tired of this, because a lot of places they kind of have that outro where it starts out slow, but they keep the foot on the gas going into the actual intro, and woo, is it fast paced once again. They explore so many different tempos in this one, and it is just completely heavily featured where you're going to be really fast paced, a little bit slower paced, a little bit harder, a little bit softer. They're just going to bounce around here, and it's going to work so well because it gives it such a fresh feeling as you go from 1 through 12. It works really well. Vocally, again, we get the classic metalcore construction of unclean everything except clean chorus, but it does work really well. They mesh so well with the instrumentation, given how crazy everything moves around. So overall, this is a big challenge for the band, and they knocked it out of the park when it came to matching the consistently changing vocals with the rapid change of the instrumentation between intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, all that stuff. So was this a good song to end the album on? Yeah. Alrighty, so now it's time to give my overall rating on Shaped by Fire, the 7th album from As I Lay Down. We've been waiting 7 years for this. The rating is... I'm going to give Shaped by Fire an impressive 8.5 out of 10. Alrighty, so 8.5 out of 10. I gotta like something about this album. I've got 3 things I really liked about this album. One are the choruses on almost every single song because they were mostly clean, but they worked really well with the underlying instrumentation when it was used, and it really gave a great contrast to how deep Tim's unclean vocals were in the verses. Now, there were times like Only After We've Fallen where they mixed the clean and unclean verse vocals for the chorus, and on Gatekeeper it was all unclean, which gave the album a real refreshing change and kept it away from that straight up consistent metalcore construction vocal, which really did well here, and I really did enjoy it. I cannot praise Nick Hippa on the guitar enough because his guitar work was pretty much the driving force in every single song, and it worked so well here. I cannot get enough of it. It was fantastic. It was perfect on every single song. He really was the absolute highlight of this album. And the honesty with the lyrics as well, because they ended up creating a great balance when you really look at it between giving metaphors for you to really relate it to your life, but also Tim telling the story and being honest with us, which is something I really did like here. Now, what I kind of disliked about the album, because, you know, it's not a perfect 10, the only thing I really disliked about the album is sometimes the unclean vocals in the verse, the underlying instrumentation, did not sync up well, because sometimes it just felt like they weren't perfectly matched together like most of the songs on the record were. On songs like Take What's Left and Gatekeeper, it just didn't mix very well. And again, that's the only thing I have on here that I really disliked. It might be pretty nitpicky of me, but that's just what I wasn't a big fan of on the album, if anything. So overall, I actually really like this album. I'm very excited that it came out, and it is an album of the year candidate. What it really reminded me of when I was trying to compare it to anything is Architects Holy Hell, where they lost Tom Cyril, the main driver behind everything that they did, and when they came back with the album, they were very honest about what happened, and it came out beautifully. And with As I Lay Dying and Shaped by Fire, it was a little bit of a different circumstance with what happened with Tim, but when the band came back together and put something together like this, yeah, the fans were in for an absolute treat, and they did a great job here, so 2 thumbs up for them. Well, alrighty, that's it for me. Thank you for watching the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Today album review on Shaped by Fire by As I Lay Dying. If you like this album review, give me a like, but if you dislike, give me a dislike. But if you're going to like or dislike it, put in the comments why, because I want to know what you think about it so we can talk about it. Also, hit that subscribe button so you're notified every single time, you know, a YouTube video comes out if you're not. So hit that subscribe button. Not that one. Get that out of here. You want to hit the one in the corner, and then the bell icon will notify you every time we release videos every single Wednesday, and some special Monday ones, because sometimes we got more than one album to review in one week. So let's get those out of here. And now we're going to talk about our social media accounts, because this will keep you in the loop with everything. So follow us on Facebook, because on Facebook, you're going to stay in the loop when it comes to Song of the Day selections, podcasts, YouTube videos, all that stuff. Go on Twitter as well and follow us there, because we'll talk to you about music and let you know what's going on as well, get into conversations with you. Also, follow us on Instagram, because we will talk to you, get in conversations with you about music, ask about what you're doing with your videos, sometimes, you know, some of your covers as well. You can also watch your IGTV videos, which is more of a behind-the-scene thing that we're doing in our head as well. And also, our IG live streams as well. So every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, we go live where we take your questions, we get in a conversation with you face to face for an hour, and it's great. So Links are in the description below for all those. Now let's get those out of here. Oh wait, I almost forgot. TikTok's here too. We just got on TikTok and we're trying some stuff out there, so go follow us on TikTok as well. Alrighty, now let's talk about the Chord Progression Podcast. This is our very own podcast where we deep dive into everything in music that happened the previous week. So we will talk about stuff like the new albums that are coming out, singles that drop, concerts that we go to, music festivals that we go to. And we will also talk to other people as well, such as people within our community. We'll talk to them about these albums. We'll talk to them about their experiences at these music festivals. And some of my favorites are when we talk to these smaller bands we feature on Small Band Saturday, where we give smaller bands a look and a, chance to grow their audience. We have them on the Chord Progression Podcast as well, so you can get an early look into them and get in on them before they make it absolutely big. And then you can brag, tell your friends, hey, I knew about them before they made it big. So perfect place to do it. So we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and right here on YouTube. So links in the description below to get to all of those. And now, lastly, if you are not subscribed to our Amazon Alexa and you have an Amazon Alexa skill, nope, scratch that, reverse it. If you have an Amazon Alexa and you're not subscribed to our Amazon Alexa skill, please do that. Link in the description below. So you're going to click on the link, hit enable, and you're going to say, hey Alexa, play my song of the day. Alexa will say, playing your song of the day. Get a 5-second intro from me, and then you get to hear the song of the day in its entirety. Once it's over, you can play it again for 24 hours, and then the next day, boom, you get a brand new song, all picked by me. You're going to fall in love with bands again that you've totally forgot about. You're going to fall in love with new bands. You're going to enjoy these songs, and you're going to find out about these smaller bands, Small Band Saturday, where you can actually hear their music on our Alexa skill and previews on our other pages as well. So you're going to get in the know with them. It's a great way to, get your day going, end the day, get through the middle of the day. Just learn anything you need about music. So please enable that. Link in the description below once again. And of course, lastly, I want to thank everyone for subscribing to this channel, watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this My Song of the Day project, because this is what I love doing, and I just hope it's, making you as happy as it's making me. So that's it for me. Thank you for being part of the community. This is Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Day YouTube channel. Let's try and end this the way I always do, but let's see if I'm successful with the hat flip. Ow! See ya!